Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to this video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to another video. If it's your first time, welcome. All the new subscribers, welcome to the Anderson's family, and all returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for being here still. Really appreciate you guys. So in today's video guys, I will be answering some questions that I've been getting repeatedly on our social media platform. It's been a while since I've really sat down and answered some of your questions. So in today's video, that's what I will be doing. I'll be selecting 10 questions from Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and answer them the best way I can. Please remember guys, I'm not an immigration consultant, affiliate, lawyer, anything of the sort. Everything that you get here is strictly based on my own experience and experiences of friends and family members. Alright guys, stick around. Welcome back guys. If you're here and you're seeing my face for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. How fast can we get to 11,000 subscribers? That is my next goal. We are literally 200 away from 11,000 subscribers. Let's get there before the end of this month, but I can't do it without your help. Alright guys, smash a like on the video as well, and also drop a comment. First question is, why did you choose to migrate to Canada? Now this is a very good question, and it's also a question that I've answered repeatedly. However, there's a lot of new persons on our channel, so I'll 100% answer it again. So if you guys are new here, my name is Dems. I am from a beautiful island called Jamaica, located in the Caribbean, not in Africa, right? I came to Canada in 2019 as an international student, and at the time, my life was pretty much starting to get settled in Jamaica. I had a decent job, we had a decent spot, we had a car, you know, the regular middle class life. But then we decided that we wanted a little bit more. And by we, I'm referring to my wife. And we had a 2-year-old at the time when we migrated, who is now 6 years old. So we've been in Canada now for a little bit over 4 years. Now, we made the decision to migrate to Canada for a multiplicity of reasons. One of the main reasons was our daughter. At the time, she was non-verbal, and it was obvious that she was delayed. She wasn't diagnosed with a specific deficiency as yet, but we knew that she had some form of special needs. So the fact of growing her in Jamaica terrified us, so we wanted to grow her in a country that we thought would give her the best opportunity to self-actualize and to become her best self, the best version of herself. That was the main reason. Now, the other reason was also a bit personal for us, because we wanted to develop and grow. I would believe that Jamaica wasn't giving us the opportunity we needed to really grow and push and realize our own full potential. And that is why we decided that, you know what, we're going to give up every single thing that we have worked for so far up to that point and start over in a new country. So that was the main motivation to migrate to Canada. Next question. If you could go back in time, what would you have done differently? And what advice would you give to new immigrants? That's also a fantastic question. Now, let's start with the first part of the question. If I could go back in time, what would I have done differently? If I could go back in time, what I would have done differently is to do more planning. Now, when I came to Canada, we came to Canada with very limited funds. We made the sacrifice, and there was a lot of unfortunate situations that caused us to come with limited funds. But if I could go back in time, I would try and work up some more funds to make our transition a little bit more smoother. Our transition was rough, and if you guys haven't seen our videos before, go and check out our videos when we stated we came to Canada broke, where we brought down everything in detail. So if I could go back in time, I would try and come with some more money that would make our transition a little bit easier. Now for the second part of the question, what advice would you give to a new immigrant? Now, there are many advices I would give to a new immigrant, but one of the main advice I would give is to have the right mindset. Now, Canada is like anywhere else in the world, where you might succeed and you might also fail, right? Now, what determines if you succeed is really your mindset. Now, I always say, and if you guys have been here for a while, you'll hear my quotes: 95% finance, 5% mindset. Now, your mindset is what's going to determine how far you go in this country. It's a country that forces you to work and to work very hard. So if you're not a hard worker, it might be a wrong fit for you, right? But the difference is once you work and you put in that effort and that energy, more often than not, you will get the rewards. Unlike some other countries where you work and you don't get the reward. So my advice would definitely be have the right mindset, and that will be crucial towards your journey. Question number 3. What services have you been able to get access to for your daughter when you just landed? Oh, you guys are asking all the right questions today. Okay, so if you guys are new to my channel, again, my daughter was diagnosed after landing in Canada as autistic. She is now 6 years old and she's still non-verbal, and she depends on us predominantly for a majority of her daily needs, daily functions in order to survive. She's not independent in getting dressed. She's not independent in getting fed. As a matter of fact, she doesn't even eat anything other than pediatrician that we have ranted about, stressed about, and spoken about so many times on our channel. And pretty much that's where she is. However, when we just landed in 2019, one of the first things that we had to do was to get a family doctor. Now, when we get a family doctor, the family doctor usually sends you to do a portion of tests. But for yourself, everybody was being accepted, right? So it was me, that's my wife, and my daughter. We had to go, we did a series of tests, blood tests, everything you can think of, to kind of get an up-to-date medical record. But one of those tests for her was, to do what you called I don't remember the exact term, but it was to check what type of deficiency she had, if that's the term. So she was referred to a number of different specialists. One was she was referred to the Glen Rose Children's Hospital in Edmonton. She was then referred to the Vereen building in Grand Prairie, which gave us access to dietitian, gave us access to speech therapists, gave us access to physiotherapists, and to also behavioral therapists. Now, all of these services was 100% paid for by Alberta Health Services. We didn't have to go into our pocket to pay everything or anything. So those were the first set of services that we got when we just landed. Now, she landed when she was 2 years old, which means that she wouldn't have been able to start school as yet, right? And then, shortly after starting those services, COVID hit. And then because COVID hit, all of those services then went virtual. So then we started doing speech therapies virtually, all of those things virtual, but it's just not the same, right? It wasn't just the same. So we believe that that period of time was a bit crucial in her development, and that was kind of like a setback for her and for us. Now, luckily to say that there's a program in Alberta called the PUF program. Now, the PUF program is a program that is in schools or in selected schools in selected cities in Alberta, where if kids are special needs or they're a little bit delayed or behind, they start this program at 3 years old, because ideally you start school at 5 years old in Alberta. So you start this program at 3 years old, and then the goal is to get you integrated and up to speed by the time you're 5 years old to be integrated in school. So she started the PUF program, and the PUF program also had its own level of services, speech therapists, and all of those services. Up to now, she still has the same speech therapist that works with her in the same school that she attends. So she started at school at 3, and she's now 6 years old, and she's going to the same school, and she's now in grade 1. So those are some of the services that she was able to access, and it was phenomenal. Okay, guys, question number 4. Do you still think studying in Canada is the best route to migrate to Canada? Oh, that's a fantastic question. So, I'm sure that most of you guys are seeing this video right now would have heard about the changes to the Canadian immigration streams, or international students specifically. Now, if you haven't seen that video, go and check out that video where I detail the changes that the immigration minister updated the public about a couple days ago. Now, one of the big points is the settlement funds, or the living expenses that a student has to show when applying for the student permit. And that has moved from $11,000 from $10,000 to over $20,000. So a 100% increase. Now, Do I think that is going to affect the immigration of international students to Canada? 100%. But do I still think studying in Canada is the best road to migrate? 100%. And why do I think that? I think that when you study in Canada, once you are approved for your study permit, there are so many opportunities for you to stay, work, and live in Canada after school that doesn't exist in many other streams, right? Now, becoming an international student is becoming increasingly difficult, but once you're approved, your path to PR is almost set in stone. It's one straight path usually. Now, it's very important to note that it doesn't guarantee you becoming a permanent resident of Canada, but the pathway is there for you to work towards it to become a permanent resident of Canada. Stick to the goal and work towards it, and that is the clearest pathway. Now, the reason why I say that is the clearest pathway is because it's 100% dependent on you. Now, if you're not going to go the international student route, more often than not, you're going to have to go to the express entry, provincial nomination, or to find an employer. Finding an employer in Canada is almost worse than looking for diamonds and gold. You understand? So it's not as easy as people make it sound. It's not as easy as it once before. It was. It's so hard. So I believe that when you become an international student, you put things in your own hands and you are in control. That is my opinion. Again, that's just my opinion. Share your opinion right down below and let me know what you think as well, guys. I'm always interested to hear your thoughts as well. Number 5, guys. And this question, I have to put this question in my question and answer section because this is such a fantastic question. The person is asking, if I am in the process of applying for my study permit and I recently changed my job, should I attach 2 job letters to my study permit application? Again, disclaimer, I'm not an immigration consultant, lawyer, affiliate. I've never worked in immigration in my life. Don't call IRCC and say that you heard it, that I told you to do it. This is just my own opinion, right? Now, I think you should attach both job letters. And the reason why I think you should attach both job letters is to show that you have some level of longevity. So the fact that you just changed your job is going to mean that you're pretty much new. But especially if you're in your previous role for a number of years or for a long while, then you can say, hey, you know what? I recently changed my job. This is what I used to do before, and this is what I'm doing now. So attach both of them, because when you attach just your present job and it shows that you're there just for a month or 2 or 3 months, then it's not going to show that you're established in your home country. And that's one of the reasons what I've seen a lot of persons being refused for, not being established in their home country. So I want to show them that, hey, listen, I am established. I am established. I've been working at that previous job for that amount of years. I just happened to recently change my job, which you are 100% able to do, legal to do. They can't penalize you for doing that, but you have to show them that you are established in your home country. That's my opinion. If you have made it here, guys, please take a second to subscribe. If you like the content, like the video, guys. It really helps me out. It really helps out the channel. Road to 11,000 subscribers, right? Subscribing is free. It's literally just a click of a button. It takes just a second, right? Help me help you. Appreciate it. Question number 6. I applied for a spousal open work permit for my spouse after being approved for a study permit. I thought I did everything right, but they were still refused. What do you think I did wrong? Now, when it comes down to that, I'm not able to specifically tell you what I think you did wrong because I didn't see your application. But what I would say is just a general broad sense of a spousal open work permit and what can contribute to you being approved and what can probably negatively affect you as well. Now, one of the first things that you guys need to know is, as an international student in Canada, your spouse and dependent children are eligible to apply for a spousal open work permit or study permit, depending on the age of the child, of course. Now, with that being said, when you are approved for a study permit and you have proof of approval, your spouse is eligible to apply for an open work permit. The open work permit has to be vetted on its own merit. So there are some key things that you have to make sure that is included in the spousal application as well. one of those key things is a letter of explanation. Now, a letter of explanation, any visa application that you're submitting to Canada, you want to make sure that your letter of explanation is a part of your application. Now, with the spousal open work permit, I personally usually suggest 2 letters of explanation. And the reason why I suggest that is because that's what I did, and I can only talk based on my own experience. So the student should write a letter why they want their spouse to be in Canada, and the spouse should write a letter why they want to be in Canada. In addition to that, the spouse also have to show living expenses in the event that you are unable to find a job. How are you gonna survive? You're gonna have to show them that you have some form of savings, some form of money saved up or access to that you are gonna be using to cover your living expenses. Separate apart from all of those things, you want to make sure that you prove relationship. You're getting this permit on the premise that your spouse have a study permit. So if it is that you are married, a marriage certificate, fantastic. That is good as gold. That proves that you guys are married. But what if you guys are not married? That is where it becomes a little bit tricky. Now, if you guys don't understand the immigration scope, marriage fraud, spousal fraud is one of the biggest fraud in not only Canadian immigration, but immigration in general. So immigration officers are usually fine-tuned and picking through to decipher if these persons are actually legitimately together. So when you're in a common law union, it's essential for you to focus on proving that you guys are not only in a relationship, but you guys are actually living together. Because of course, the definition of a common law is living together for at least 1 year in Canada, right? In Canadian definition, that's what it means. So you have to be living together for at least 1 year. Now, you can get the common law declaration form completed. Fantastic. But how does that prove that you guys are actually together? So focus on creative ways, one of which ways is joint bank accounts, insurance, beneficiaries, bill in both names going to the same address, etc., etc., etc. Pictures, different ways. Just look at it like proving to somebody that you're actually together. Now, if you're not married, you have to go the extra mile to prove that. And usually, once you're able to satisfy all those criteria, usually you are approved. Now, I can't say specifically if you were able to cover all of those bases and still were refused, then in that case, it might be a little bit outside of my scope. And I would definitely suggest getting an immigration consultant to take a look at your case and see what you can do a little bit better. All right, guys, that was a long answer, but I tried my best. Okay, so we're now at number 7. And this question is a question that I get asked so much time. Which province is the best province in Canada? Now, how am I going to answer that question, guys? Now, that question is so broad and general that I don't think there's a correct answer for that question. But instead, what I'll do to answer that question is give a little bit of a background. Now, I am in Alberta, guys, and I'm going to be biased towards Alberta. Because that's the province that I've migrated to, that's the province that I live in, that's the province I work in and invested in. So I would strongly suggest that if you're thinking of a province to migrate to, consider Alberta, because that's a province that has blessed me so much. Notwithstanding, there are so many other persons who have moved to different provinces and has been able to be successful just the same. So the answer to that question is simply, what are you looking for? Now, each province is almost like its mini little country, right? So when you're choosing a province, make sure that you're not just choosing a province based on cheap school fee, but make sure that you're choosing a province based on job availability, access to housing, affordable housing, PR opportunities, and so many different other factors that you have to take into consideration. A lot of persons make the mistake of choosing a province just because the school fee appears cheaper than anywhere else in Canada, when ultimately that is the worst place to migrate to. The other tip I would give to you is each province is broad and big and far and wide. Canada is the second largest country in the world. So if you're moving to Ontario, that would be fine as long as you're not moving to the popular destinations like the Toronto, for example, the GTA, for example. Now that's one of the most expensive cities in Canada. So if you're gonna be moving there, do your research and know exactly what it's gonna cost to live there. But it doesn't mean that because Toronto is expensive means that all of Ontario is expensive. So you have many other places that you can take into consideration. It's the same thing with BC, it's the same thing with Alberta, it's the same thing with Nova Scotia. So choosing the right province is almost not as important as choosing the right city. In other words, you want to make sure that you are doing your research and giving yourself the best chance to succeed. All right? Now, question number 8. Would you move back to Jamaica? I have seen all the negative news about Canada, and this makes me scared to migrate there. What would you say to somebody who wants to migrate to Canada but is afraid? Oh, I was waiting on that question. Would I move back to Jamaica? I cannot say or see what the future holds. But as it is right now, where I'm at in my life right now, I am fully vested in Canada. My life is fantastic right now. We are working on so many things, and you know what? Moving to Canada was and still is the best decision that I have made for myself and for my family. So because of that, I think I'm going to be staying here. But again, I don't know what the future holds. Who knows? I might have to go back to Jamaica. I don't know. But for now, this is where my life is at. Now, as it relates to the negative information that's been out there in regards to Canada, I have seen it. I'm sure all of you guys watching this video have seen it as well. Now, what I would like to say about those negative information is that it's centered around specific places. Now, again, Canada is very big. Now, if you're going to choose to live in the most expensive place, then that's one of the side effects that comes with it. The cost of living is increasing, not just in Canada, but everywhere around the world. Now, again, in my previous question, I mentioned choosing the right city and the right province properly. It comes back to this question as well. It all depends on where you go, and it all depends on the reason why you want to move to Canada. Now, any aspiring new immigrant with the right mindset and want to migrate for the right reasons, Canada is calling. Canada is still calling immigrants. There's an ambitious goal, I think 1 million newcomers in the next 2 or 3 years. So they're still looking for immigrants. Canada is calling. And Canada is way better and still way better than many other countries in the world. Now, if you are here and you are not having a good experience, probably consider choosing your city. Probably consider changing your location and then reap the benefits of doing that. All right. Question number 9 is, how do I get a job in Canada from outside of Canada? If I add $1 for every time I got this question. Now, getting a job in Canada from outside of Canada is simply just applying and hoping for the best. Now, you can go on Canadian Job Bank and filter your search to employers who employ applicants from outside of Canada, and then hopefully you get an opportunity. But the truth of the matter is, it all depends on luck, it all depends on persistence, and all depends on you just going above and beyond and just being creative to get that opportunity, right? Now, it's not gonna be easy, and there's no shortcut. There's no specific way to get it other than applying, interviewing, convincing somebody to give you the opportunity. That is the best way, only way that I know of. Unless you're gonna go to an agent, and a lot of these agencies are fraud. Let me just tell you that. Now, before you give an agent your money, make sure that you do your own research and make sure that the agency is not only legit, but make sure that the agency can connect you with the right opportunities that you are looking for. All right, guys. Question number 10. And if you're here with me, last question, smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. 100% free, guys. And you know what? Only takes a second. Really appreciate it. Now, the last question I want to answer is, you advise somebody on a visitor's visa to come to Canada in a hope of finding a job, and what tips do you have? Now, I have to end it with this question. Now, a lot of persons have seen and known about the public policy that if you come as a visitor and you're able to get an LMIA job opportunity, then it allows you to stay in Canada and apply for a work permit. Now, that's a policy, right? And that's a policy that is probably misconstrued by a lot of persons by not understanding the enormity of finding an LMIA job or the finding an employer who is willing to give you that opportunity. And a lot of persons make the decision to migrate to Canada fully on a visitor visa, not understanding how hard it is to find work. Now, would I suggest that anybody should do that? I would suggest that explore all other avenues before putting your egg in that basket. Now, if you don't have any other option and that is the only basket that you have to put your eggs in, I understand, but please be sure to know that it's not going to be easy. All right, guys? Be prepared to do all the hard work and then hope for the best. That's what I would suggest. Thank you guys for listening to this question and answers. If you haven't subscribed as yet, subscribe, like the video, drop a comment, let me know if you have any additional questions, and I'll be happy to do a follow-up video. Alright guys, see you guys in the next video.